you would find it in A Link to the Past and shuffle their locations. And that includes all of the keys, all of the big keys, all the maps, and all the compasses for all of the dungeons. So anything could be anywhere, including a hammer in Sanctuary, or a shield in Link's house.
Having tempered sword damage at the beginning of the game is always nice.
It looks like we have a couple going off to do hula hand strats. Mystakin and TruzzL heading over to the Lost Woods. The hula hand plan is a good idea with Keysanity, simply because it's less likely to get a whole lot of rupees very early. But depending on those early Lost Woods and Kakariko finds, this might end up being wasted time. That's the risk that you run here.
And the crab's spitting out bombs, which is, in my opinion, the best thing the crab can spit out. So they'll be all set for Kakariko.
And a small key on the lumberjack ledge, that could be hazardous.
Spicy.
Yes, because that lumberjack ledge, if you're going to access it, you gotta fight Aghanim. And that's a big time sink that our runners don't want to have to deal with. And Zelga gets ether, rather, off of Uncle. And boots at the Thieves' Ledge. TruzzL has found the boots already. Not even 2 minutes in.
Love early boots. I'm sure these runners are all going to enjoy that. Some people put off Darkwoods up there for a while, so hopefully they don't put it off for too long.
Yeah, that is what xirtanul appears to be doing. And even Zelga. Zelga is going through and doing rescue.
Yeah, some people like to do this as soon as they get a weapon, and hammer is just as good as anything.
And better than a lot of things.
Yeah, absolutely.
Meanwhile, Mystakin and TruzzL are doing the more traditional Kakariko route, dipping into Blind's house.
xirtanul ignoring that red rang in the flooded area. This is a very early mini Moldworm cave from xirtanul as well.
Yep, and we have seen our first map and compass now, and small key finds of this run. Those maps will be telling our runners what prize that boss has, whether it's a crystal or a pendant, and which ones. The compass is not so useful. Those mitts, on the other hand.
Yeah, that's Power Glove and the hammer, so we're a Moon Pearl away from Dark World access already.
Zelga taking a very early death, and a surprising one. Hasn't managed to get to Zelda's chest. We'll see if he bothers with that, or if he just goes to the Dark Sewer. TruzzL finding Cape in the chicken coop.
Yeah, Zelga's probably going to skip that chest. It takes so long to get down there. He's just going to hope it's nothing. Wow, magic powder already, and it's in Kakariko, so he'll be able to do magic bat immediately. That's exactly what he's going to do. Or he's not.
He doesn't have any magic.
Good point.
You start the game with an empty magic tube. Zelga taking another death. This is a rough time to be doing that.
Yeah, that Dark Cross Hyrule Castle room is pretty tough with 3 hearts and the green mail.
And no lamp. Fortunately, that is currently considered a sequence break. Doing any dark room is considered outside of logic, so the game will not force anyone to do that. It's just a way to jump ahead a little bit if you feel you're able.
Mystakin, remembering he's got boots and he can grab that small key on library. And it's Turtle Rock, so that was important, most likely.
It's so rare when you do your first pass to the library that you're both able to bonk the shelf and that you want to.
Right.
It could just become muscle memory not to do it.
Yeah.
Zelga finally gets his boot boost. That's a combination of letters.
I'd say it boosts your run, so close
It
enough.
does. It's Anagram Corner over here in Speed Gaming.
TruzzL elects to pick up that red boomerang. It's another turtle. That's 2 Turtle Rock small keys already.
So naturally we're too early in the game to know, but when you're getting 2 Turtle Rock small keys and you're not even 10 minutes in, we might be going to Turtle Rock later.
Yeah, even if it's a pendant, it's usually got something in there.
Mini Moldorm's giving Mystakin a little bit of a hassle.
Yeah, hammering those mini Moldorms in the up direction is very incredibly difficult. Ooh, when he bombs himself. No hearts, really, for these guys. So, TruzzL's the only one with more than 3 hearts at this point.
Yeah, it's all been heart pieces so far.
In fact, TruzzL's a hit away from death up here. Hopefully he doesn't get crabs.
Yeah, that is one particular danger with doing Randomizer in general. You are often sequence breaking against what the base game expects, and so you're running into pretty hazardous enemies pretty early. Gotta be careful.
So it's interesting, a lot of players like to do early Eastern, and we still haven't seen an Eastern check yet, so we'll see who decides to go there first.
Yeah, there have been a lot of interesting early finds, getting the hammer, the boots. So our runners may be going for those second level item locations and holding off on Eastern for the time being. The escape basement not offering very much.
Zelga gonna make that first magic bat check. Not before getting stabbed in the face as he falls down.
And there's the Moon Pearl.
Got Dark World access at 9 minutes and 28 seconds.
And for chat asking, Aga does block a small key. We don't know if that's relevant or not yet.
So the Moon Pearl being right there in Kakariko, it'll be interesting to see if anybody just jumps into Dark World.
Yeah, Zelga is in a great position to do that and even take a small dip into Thieves Town, grab those 4 chests pretty quick. Looks like TruzzL is about to get the pearl as well. Mystakin making the move to Escape Basement.
Yeah, so their options right now are they can do Eastern and Sahasrara, they can go right into Dark World and check all those overworld locations, or they could even maybe consider fake flippering.
Yep, Fake Flipper, another one of those sequence breaks the game won't force you to do, but it can work to your advantage.
Yeah, with the Moon Pearl, they're able to get 4 items as long as they can pay off Zora, and then get intel on 2 locations, so it's not a bad play.
Mystakin going for Moldorm's Revenge.
TruzzL making the Skull Woods play really early.
And finding a book. So our literacy rates have gone up.
Yeah, with boots and book, that makes desert a interesting location if they can find a big key or a small key to kind of supplement that.
TruzzL dipped into Skullwoods without any small keys, so has to go visit the bouncy Gibdos. If you come in with 1 small key, you can just avoid that room entirely.
Yeah, they'll get all the Skullwood small keys when they're looking for their Go mode item.
Oh, naturally. Mystakin heading on over to Desert.
I think this will be our first Agina check.
Yep, a location runners tend to put off for a while. But if Mystakin didn't realize that he could go visit Batman, he might be running down the options list. But he does find the Desert Key.
Yeah, that's interesting. We've seen book, boots, and desert small keys, so I would definitely be interested in going to desert once they can get those items all together on 1 person.
Just a heart piece on the Desert Ledge, though.
Yeah, and that Thieves Town big key that they found in vanilla big key chests in Skull Woods lets them full clear Thieves Town except for the big chest itself. That's a relatively easy dungeon to do, even with low items. They might not want to do Hammer Blind to those, so they might kind of avoid that until they have a sword or something better.
Nah, Hammer Blind is especially brutal. And a vanilla green pendant. That's interesting. And the castle tower small key. Mystakin can go up that tower though, having the magic cape. So we'll see if he gets routed around there. Meanwhile, we have Zelga and xirtanul both going for the Skullwoods play. TruzzL making the Thieves Town play.
Alright, we'll see if he tries to full clear this. He does have magic powder, so he can get that anti-fairy to get his max health back up or later on, so maybe that's what he's counting on.
Finding the Cane of Berna, which might actually make the blind fight a bit easier. There are definitely strats for that.
Yeah, if he can keep his magic and get to blind, it should be no problem now.
And our first Ganon's Tower small key. But it's not the big one. Yeah, TruzzL's going into the backside of Thieves Town. Well, Mystakin is going to show us a dark room without a sword, just to make it a little trickier.
Yeah, not too bad as long as he can find the door after he gets this small key here. He's going to keep just smashing the hammer on the ground until he gets out.
Meanwhile, Zelga's heading back into town. Gonna do some village spots.
So Sahasrara and Eastern were a bust, I believe.
Yeah, fair bit of a bust. Although Thieves Town hasn't been that huge so far, the backside at least.
I'm guessing everyone's going to make this same play. Get the Thieves Town big key and jump into Thieves.
Mystakin's going up Death Mountain. Sequence breaking through those dark rooms.
He's doing it just to spite me right after I said that.
Yeah, him not going and visiting Batman is kind of hurting right now.
Oh, that's why he doesn't have his Moon Pearl yet, yeah.
Yeah.
That's unfortunate.
Looks like he's gonna go probably up the tower.
So let's see this TruzzL blind fight here with Hammer and Cane of Berna.
Yeah, blind with any cane is, in my experience, far easier than blind with hammer. Looks like TruzzL is just gonna hold off to the last minute.
Yep, well done. Oh, Thieves Town is also nothing. Hopefully that big chest doesn't come back to haunt them later on.
Well, that is a crystal, so looks like all of our runners, besides Mystakin, will be getting one fairly soon. Although Zelga did take a death, which is unfortunate. Got knocked down before he could powder to a fairy.
Yeah, he's having a rough go of it so far in this game. Mystakin's gonna load up on rupees a little bit here in case he wants to do Zora later. And then I think he's gonna check out Desert with that book and small key. Oh wait, he doesn't have the book yet.
He doesn't have that. That was all Dark World.
Oh boy.
He might be worried that Zora is the key.
Yeah, he's going straight for Zora actually, maybe. Except he went to Sanctuary, so I don't know about that.
No, he's headed that direction.
So you're just gonna walk up to Zora here.
TruzzL finding a shield in the digging game and not even bothering with it. TruzzL's sprite, I believe, is Decidueye. I believe it's a Pokemon.
Looks like a penguin.
It does, which is easily confusing.
Skullwoods and Pod are the bonus crystals. And we're getting our first Zora check.
And it's Quake. That's the wrong fish.
Yeah. Was Mystakin the first one that tried to go check Magic Bat and didn't have magic for it? Am I remembering that correctly?
I actually don't remember if it was him or TruzzL.
Ooh, Hype Cave. Is that a fire rod? Couldn't tell if it was a fire rod or an ice rod. I think it was fire rod.
It was Fire Rod.
That's interesting. Knowing that Skullwoods is a bonus crystal kind of puts Skullwoods at the top of their list, possibly. Another nice blind fight.
Unfortunately, our runners don't have a sword at all yet, so they can't get to Mothula. It's in swordless mode that that curtain of vines is pre-cut for you, but not here.
Yeah, considering what we've seen, it looks like Desert is kind of the play to make.
For a second, I thought Mystakin was going to visit Batman.
I hope he hasn't forgotten that location.
Oh, he might have just figured it out. He's headed back. Meanwhile, xirtanul is heading towards pod, or maybe pyramid, or maybe catfish. Definitely hitting up the east side of the Dark World.
Yeah, I'd be surprised if he went into pod with no bow and no keys, but it's possible.
Oh, well, there's a lamp at least.
Mystakin finally picking up his moon pearl, which unfortunately is about 15 minutes behind his opponent.
Yep, threw out a little bit of rage confetti. Definitely aware that he made a mistake on that one. Pun not intended. That's gonna be an easy pun to make.
Hopefully not, for his sake. So TruzzL is going to have a bad time here.
Afraid so.
Yeah, he just figured it out after lighting the torches. Without a sword, cannot continue to Mothula.
xirtanul is about to find out what catfish has. Here's hoping it's flippers for comedy's sake. Nope, just a 50. So TruzzL is finally going to go down, visit Uncle. I don't believe he went to the rescue sequence, so we might see that as well. xirtanul with that lamp is going to go to the sewers.
I'm surprised none of these three that had book and that small key to Desert Early haven't gone there yet.
They might be trying to hold off until either they get the big key or they get some intel on what the prize will be.
Yeah, that would be that'd be a little greedy, I think, to wait for that. I feel like in Keysanity it's never that easy.
Actually, no, it's a good point. The Desert Palace key was at Agana, which only Mystakin is checked. So people actually don't have the small key.
And that's usually something people like to route Agana in when they decide to go to Desert. So yeah, that might put it off for a while.
So xirtanul going to give us a peek at the second Aghanim's Tower chest.
Ever since they've gotten Dark World access, it's really slowed down.
Yeah, pretty early front loading, but now it's like people aren't sure where to go.
xirtanul on his way to some disappointment here in both Sahasrah's hut and Eastern.
Zelga doing a little more death abuse. Actually, yes, Desert Ledge was just a heart piece. Yeah, we're at one of those points where our runners are kind of tracing each other's steps all around.
Yeah, I'm thinking it's either going to be some trolley location like first chest and pod with no keys, or they got to make that desert play with what they think is just the book, but they'll find out that they have the small key as well.
Yep, and we did see Ice Palace is a crystal.
Did someone ever make it to Death Mountain to check Spectacle Rock?
No, Mystakin started making the move and then opted against it. But with Zelga and xirtanul both having a lamp, that does put Death Mountain in logic. Not a lot of locations they can hit without a mirror or a hook shot, but they can always get that train going.
Yeah, they're just running out of locations, so they're going to have to bite the bullet and pick one of these low chest areas really soon.
Yeah, the funny thing, as D2 Kemps pointed out, Mystakin has additional information, and if all our other runners are going to be checking all those one-off locations that he ran through, he might actually make up a lot of time, despite all of that running about lost. That's one of the things with Keysanity is you may make some poor decisions early on, and then your opponent makes even poorer decisions.
Just looking at their items, I realized there's another location on Death Mountain, and that's Spike Cave. Which would be an interesting thing, because that cape really hasn't paid off for him yet. And I guess similarly, Cane of Burna.
Yeah, Burna makes blind easy, but doesn't pay off much beyond that. But they do have the hammer and Burna and cape. I believe the logic does not require a bottle if you have Burna. It's one or the other. So I believe that is fully in logic at the moment.
Yeah, and half magic could always be at one of those trolley locations we mentioned.
Well, Zelga is going to visit Agana, find that Desert Palace small key, and we'll see if he decides to go in right after this.
xirtanul's doing the exact same thing. I think they'd be crazy not to.
Yeah, they're in the perfect spot for it.
Yeah, they're going to Agana probably because they're on their way and they just happen to pick up that small key. Kind of a bonus. So this is 5 locations they'll have access to if you include the ledge, which is nothing.
4 locations then. Well, unless they decide they're a little low on health. But even at that point, you'd rather get a full heart container and call it a day. Meanwhile, TruzzL's doing their sweep of Eastern and going to have to Dark Room for the last chest.
So we're counting on the right side of desert here. So far, it's been a blank.
Mystakin taking a death to blind.
Oh,
Tried to use the cape and not the cane.
Oh, that's the worst.
Fortunately, blind doesn't have anything, so
Yeah.
coming back later is not a bad idea. Desert, on the other hand, has a sword.
Nice. So that opens Mothula up.
And I believe that was the D.
Yep.
I believe that was a bug.
Double value from that Desert Palace small key. So it's going to open Mothula plus some more locations in Pod. And I think Zelga is opting to finish off Mothula.
Yeah, might decide that getting one of those special crystals early is more than worth it.
It's interesting they have 0 Palace of Darkness small keys so far.
Yeah, pod keys are usually very common very early, and you kind of hope to get a lot just because of how weird the dungeon is with its small keys. You kind of want to get them out of the way. But if they never have to go to pod, then hey, all the better.
Yeah, it's probably going to force them away from it for a while until they don't really have any other choice. There could always be 1 or 2 vanilla pod keys in there too to kind of troll them.
Yeah, unfortunately pod is a crystal, so they'll have to deal with that. Although I believe technically you only need 1 to beat Helmasaur. You can check nothing else, virtually nothing else, but you can fight Helmasaur with just the 1.
Yeah.
And TruzzL gets knocked down. This seed has been claiming a lot of lives so far. Some of them are death abuse, but some of them, like what Zelga just hit, I don't think it was.
Yeah, I think he died at that bridge chest because he doesn't have a mirror, so I think that was on purpose. I don't know about TruzzL though. Zelga's conserving magic here. Oh, and he gets wall mastered.
Oh. Dungeon decided to get a grip.
I can't imagine Zelga's having a lot of fun in this seed.
Well, Mistake is not going to have a lot of fun when he hits up Catfish and finds there's nothing interesting there. But we'll see if xirtanul feels any better about the backside of Skullwoods.
Makes it through, and he's got a sword, thankfully. So with Fighter Sword, this Mothula fight could get ugly real quick. So he's going to have to play conservatively.
Absolutely, and to make it worse, they have no bottles, so no potions. So they can't even refill on magic coming down here so early.
Yeah, it's 8 Fire Rod shots or 8 Fighter Sword spins or 4 hammers to kill this guy, and that's assuming that The damage doesn't get negated. Yeah, he's already down to 1 heart.
Ooh, and gets pinched by the spikes.
We'll see if xirtanul can fare any better.
TruzzL realizing he doesn't have the bow. Can't really get very far into pod without it.
Oh, xirtanul. So,
oh,
Mothula
another.
is 2-0 right now.
That bug is out for blood. Bumper Cave doesn't have anything of value.
xirtanul is just bailing on this.
Can't really blame him. TruzzL is going to give Grandpa a ride home. Probably going to check what Spec Rock has en route.
I think this is our first check of these locations.
Indeed it is. And the Swamp Small Key from Gramps.
Unfortunately useless right now, but it's nice to have in your back pocket. And Zelga does a better job this time. For nothing.
But it's a crystal, so that's a thing.
So there's nothing on Light World Dark Mountain here. Or Death Mountain. Let's see if he checks Spike Cave. Because we're running out of locations again.
He might be. Certainly in that neighborhood, certainly appears to be looking for a fairy.
I'm gonna say there's a high probability of something being in Spike Cave.
That would be 2 very rude item locations in a row.
Hook shot. And now they have access to all of East Death Mountain.
This is pretty trolly.
Absolutely. And that's access to all of Death Mountain for the Light World, so that gets them into Hera as well. Granted, that's a pendant, but...
Yeah, they just about quadrupled the number of locations they have available to them. So I guess it's a race to get to Death Mountain for these other 3.
Well, it's a race to get there and a race to remember that Spike Cave is in Logic.
That's
true, and I don't think xirtanul just did. Save quit off the hills.
Oh boy.
And there's the cane. Down in
all.
Paradox.
Starting to look a lot like Turtle Rock now. We just need those Titans mids.
And there's Thieves Town Small Key and the flips.
All the value in Paradox Cave. So that puts all of Zora Domain into Logic, which no one decided to sequence break, so that's interesting.
Yep, Zelga is going through Eastern and may decide to clear it for that green pendant.
I don't think he's got the EP Big Key.
Oh, yes. My bad.
I would be thinking the exact same thing, and then I'd walk up to the chest and not be able to open it. We're actually really light on big keys. We've got 1 so far, and it didn't yield anything unless that Thieves Town big chest happens to have something. TruzzL gonna check Ether Tablet here, and he's not gonna be able to get it though.
Just couch cash.
And xirtanul making the pod play. I didn't even see him go in.
Yeah, but he's got the bow, so he'll actually be able to make it past the mimics. And there's our first pod key up in Hera.
Interesting.
And the pod big key.
Very interesting. The TruzzL doesn't have bow yet, but we're starting to get signals for Palace of Darkness.
And there's a vanilla pod key. We were kind of expecting that at this point. And Blunick. xirtanul gets a little extra defense.
So TruzzL's going to finish up everything he can do on Death Mountain here. After checking Spiral Cave, we'll see where he goes.
It looks like Mystakin and Zelga are making the same hike.
Hopefully this doesn't lead him away from Desert, though, or else it could be a while before TruzzL finds the sword. And the bow, more importantly. That's our 3rd TR small key and our first bottle found in the Dark Horseshoe. TruzzL spotted a small key on Lake Helia Island, which they won't have access to until they find the mirror. We'll see if Mystakin remembers to do Spike Cave while he's up here. Nope.
Nope. Will Zelga. And our bridge friend has another pod key.
Yeah, wow, that's 3 pod keys we've seen already. And the pod big key.
Zelga also slides away from the Spike Cave.
Oh.
Or maybe he might be going back.
I guess that's the only I might have remembered. There's nothing else up here.
Yeah, it has to be.
So this is huge for Zelga. Because TruzzL's kind of in a bad spot without the bow or the sword and probably won't go to Desert for a while. And Mystakin and xirtanul just whiffed on the hook shot and flippers, so Zelga's going to have both of those locations checked off.
But TruzzL did manage to find the gloves.
Yeah, that's kind of bad because that's just going to lead him further and further away from Desert. So hopefully that bow isn't locking him out of anything, and hopefully he's comfortable swordless.
And xirtanul was up near Pedestal. I didn't see if he actually went for it or what it was. I guess Mystakin is going back to take care of Blind. Might be assuming that they have the importance. Ah, Pedestal was just bombs.
TruzzL's going to make our first King's Tomb check. Looks like xirtanul's going back for more Mothula.
On the one hand, it does help to get these bosses finally out of the way, but they don't have the hook shot.
So TruzzL's options right now seem to be Pod or Ice Palace. Ice Palace is now in logic, and they can get everything out of there except for the big chest. But he's going back up here for Dark Death Mountain. That is another option. Can also check that TR medallion. It's always nice to have that intel. Guess he could go in too.
He could. And with 3 keys, he could theoretically complete it if, you know, he had the ice rod and probably a sword. A sword would be really nice right about now.
Yeah, I'm sure that's at the top of his priority list.
Mystakin is going to make the pod play.
Xirtanul's got a fairy this time, so Malthiel's gonna have to kill him twice.
I wouldn't put it past Mahilo, though. Hera and Ice big keys over in Super Bunny.
Wow, now it's looking really good for Ice Palace.
And the T-Rock big key in hookshot. And not much else.
That can get him to Laser Bridge. It looks like he's missing one of the TR small keys that someone else found.
Possibly.
Yeah, Xirtanul found one in Pod.
Yep.
So, and it looks like TruzzL's not even going to mess with... Wait, is he going back? Oh, it doesn't have a mirror.
Could be.
So it's got to march all the way across there again.
We see Hera is a pendant. We may have already known that.
In fact, at this rate, I wonder if it's even worth going into TR when Ice Palace is fully clearable. And they know it's a crystal.
And that might be the play. Oh no, Xirtanul, I don't think they're making that play considering they're still fake flippering.
It's going to fake flipper into mitts though. So that'll feel good.
Certainly. But until they go back to Spike Cave, they're not going to have the real deal.
Now he's thinking, where the hell are these flippers?
Might be thinking vanilla flippers.
Yeah, TruzzL picked up the the Tower of Hera big key, so complete that, I guess.
Yeah, not the dungeon he needs to be in, though. Needs to be in desert.
Yeah, I just got led away kind of with too many other good items. Yeah, TruzzL's only downfall right now is spending a lot of time climbing Death Mountain over and over again. And I think Xirtanul's fake flippering into ice? I like it.
Interesting.
Out of logic for him, but we know this is in logic at this point.
Yep, it's just a hook shot away from reasonable.
Yeah, as long as he knows that bomb jump in the hookshot room, it shouldn't be a problem. Actually, he's got small keys.
Mystakin doing a little bit of a Helmasaur jump. We don't see that every day.
TruzzL finds a bunch of garbage in here.
I think Mystakin is going to demonstrate the hammer jump. Try and get those 2 chests in the dark maze.
Zelga also making the play into ice.
Ooh, stumbled on the hammer jump.
This Ice Palace is going to be a lot tougher for xirtanul than it is Zelga, since Zelga's got that hook shot. TruzzL making the Ice Palace play. So we got 3 players in Ice Palace now.
Unfortunately, Mystakin hasn't picked up that pod big key yet, so he's just gonna have to walk by that big chest.
But he finds a GT big key.
Ooh, that's nice to find.
Interesting consolation prize.
Unfortunately, he's looking for immediate progression, not progression that's gonna pay off in an hour. And xirtanul is getting low on hearts.
Yeah, this can be a tricky bomb jump.
Yeah.
It's one of those that I still struggle with quite a bit. But he makes it.
It's gonna be a little careful on this magic, too. Mystakin still lost. Forgetting about Spike Cave, unfortunately.
Yeah, or maybe just not expecting it to be in logic. But with an invulnerability item and a bottle, you gotta assume at this point. So just a reminder as we're hitting the hour mark, and we are seeing some very nice sync between Zelga and xirtanul. However, they are not racing each other. This is races between Zelga and Mystakin, and xirtanul and TruzzL. They're 2 separate races, even though everyone is using the same seed.
Mystakin fake flippering now. And Zelga picking up the mirror, as does xirtanul. I think he did, anyway.
Yeah, I mean, they're right after each other, so it really makes sense.
That gives them swamp access. So I'd say Swamp Palace is next on the menu.
In all likelihood.
Looks like Zelga didn't pick up the Swamp Small Key, though. Is that...
Oh, that was on Grandpa.
Yeah.
So actually, how would he have gotten up there? He has to have it.
I think he does. We'll see when he opens his menu.
Looks like Zelga's gonna be our first to pay Cold Stare a visit. xirtanul just bailing on the dungeon entirely.
Yeah, I don't blame him. This cold stare fight would be horrendous. Plus, he's low on magic.
Yeah, and you do get a little refill before you go in, but it's little.
Hopefully, cold stare doesn't have anything right now. So Zelda's going to be doing mostly a hammer cold stare here. And is already down to 4 hearts.
And down to 0. Even with blue mail, that is a rough fight.
That was quick. TruzzL is going to be our second attempt here.
Yep, Zelga just passing on ice for now and heading probably to Swamp.
The real battle tonight is to see if Mothula or Cold Stare can kill more racers. Mothula currently up 2-1.
Although he still has fights with Mystakin and TruzzL, so Mothula could go up even further. And the Peg Maze has a big key for Swamp.
TruzzL doing a really nice job of avoiding damage, and right as I say that, gets clobbered. If a puff touches him, he's dead. Oh!
Ooh! Ice won't kill him, but now one heart!
This is incredible.
Ooh,
what a close fight. A sword!
Well, that's a worthy prize.
Made him work for that Master Sword. Actually, that's TruzzL's first sword. So he thinks this is especially cruel. In his head, it's like, wow, I had to kill Cold Stare to get the fighter's sword.
Meanwhile, xirtanul's taking care of the fetch quest and finding half magic for his efforts.
Yeah, TruzzL's gonna be going right into Swamp. I really like the way TruzzL's been running this. I just hope he eventually finds his way back to Desert. And Zelga's gonna make that first dip of his into Palace of Darkness. Big key and 4 small keys and the bow seems like a really good time.
Yep, good odds of a clear there. Meanwhile, Mystakin taking on Mothula.
Yeah, I didn't think of that. As long as Zelga doesn't open that chest that goes to... If he does the hammer jump, don't know what to call that door.
Mm-hmm.
He'll be able to full clear this, no problem, when he finds that pod small key in here.
I just missed what Bombo's tablet had.
Mystakin cutting down Mothula with ease. Having a little bit better equipment than xirtanul and Zelga had.
Okay, now I feel like I missed something substantial because xirtanul has Master Sword, and I didn't see where he picked the second one up because he hasn't fought Cold Stare.
Did he? What was he doing? Was he doing the Smith route?
Yes, he was. So yes,
So
that was it. Was the
must have been purple chest.
yeah, unassuming man. Admittedly, I completely spaced out on that fetch quest because when's the last time it had something useful? The answer is today. Mystakin's back in Eastern, but without the big key. And he just realized that fact.
Yeah, another thing to note that I don't know if we mentioned, but xirtanul found that Swamp Palace big key at Hammer Pegs. So TruzzL does not have that in Swamp. So hopefully for his sake that doesn't have anything. And xirtanul might be just making that play into Turtle Rock.
The annoying thing for xirtanul is he's up on Death Mountain. He could go to Spike Cave. He could get that hook shot. And he's not going to think to.
Yeah. This is where sequence breaking, where it seems like it's a good thing, is going to kill him because it just opened more locations. And it's going to put Spike Cave off for a while.
Ah, the big key to Eastern is in pod. That harmless hellway is pretty important.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see if he mirrors out of afterwards and does that Eastern Palace finish. Use the green pendant.
Myers small key in the pod big chest. Not a big deal.
Oh, xirtanul jumping down. So, once again, kind of abandoning Spike Cave.
Possibly not. He hasn't done Paradox.
That's true. Could cross over. In fact, possibly, yeah, might do Tower of Hera. Yeah, that's probably a better way of routing it. Swamp has been fairly empty.
Unfortunately, not much to write home about. And no hope of a reverse curse with that chest. Just a piece of heart.
Yeah, thanks to all this divergence, we're once again starting to run out of locations for next progression. Helmosaur King might have something. Fat Fairy is going to be coming up here, I would think.
Yep, TruzzL could be on the right path with Argus.
I kind of hope so for his sake, because if it let him into Swamp Palace and there's nothing, and the big chest doesn't get checked, it kind of just increases the chances that there's something in there from my perspective.
Yeah, we also don't know if this is a crystal or not, so this entire fight might not even be necessary.
Fighter Sword slashes don't hurt those puffs, so a lot of players like to do menu strats with the hammer.
I don't know if I would say they like to do it, but that is how they approach it. Mystakin now making the move into ice. Just a map on Helmosaur. But that is the second red crystal.
20 rupees on Argus, but it is a crystal. This might be the push TruzzL needs to go into desert. Yeah, I'd say he's likely to check Bombo's tablet and then just jump into Agnes Cave and do desert. This is kind of leaving purple chest on its own, so he might not ever pick that other sword upgrade up.
Well, hopefully there are more available than just those two. Otherwise, TruzzL's going to be in a really rough spot.
Yeah, he's going to pick up Master Sword most likely over here. Might have to finish the game with it, though.
Yeah, Master Sword Ganon is certainly doable, but it's a bit painful. Is xirtanul finally going to check Spike Cave? He's in the right spot for it. He's going!
Finally. And Mystakin making the same play that xirtanul did by fake flippering into ice.
And yep, TruzzL is finally making the move into desert. And not going directly to the right side, unfortunately, but we'll get there. So Zelga will be taking care of the Armos Knights pretty soon. No silvers means it's a little slower of a fight than you would like to do, but still a pretty easy one.
Fortunately, got bumped and missed the quick kill. Ooh, Ice Rod.
But gets the Ice Rod, man.
That's probably required.
Well, at this point, we only have 2 dungeons that we don't know, and 1 pendant, 1 crystal that we don't know. So it's a 50-50.
xirtanul going into swamp with that big key, so we're gonna find out what TruzzL missed, if anything.
That said, the Armos Knights fight beyond the Ice Rod wasn't very useful. Green Pendant, just give it a map. So if T-Rock is a pendant, that's actually not as big as it might have seemed.
Mystakin picks up his mirror, and as long as he completes this dungeon, we'll have a tempered sword before anyone else.
Does have to pick up a little bit of magic, though. Seems to have run out. But with those 2 small keys, he can actually duck into here and get a refill.
And Zelga making the first Fat Fairy play.
I believe we saw that Turtle Rock was a crystal. And asking you, Chad, can you have a run where both Ice and Fire Rod are not required? And yes.
The flute in the big chest!
Ooh!
TruzzL, no!
And that flute might not be required. With Meyer being a pendant, might not encounter the reason to go back for it.
Yeah, if there's nothing in any of those chests and nothing in Meyer Shed or Checkerboard Cave. It's a lot to ask for, but it is possible.
It is. Meyer is 8 chests, I believe, and then that's 3 in the surrounding area, so that's 11 locations. But you never know. Mystakin bailing out of Ice Palace.
Yeah, that might give xirtanul a chance to get back in this game, because he's fairly... He's not too far behind, but he is behind TruzzL at this point. But yeah, even if that doesn't lead to anything, it will simplify his routing and speed things up a bit.
We might be seeing Mystakin's second bit of rage for the evening. Looks like he's heading up towards Spike.
Might go right into Hera and skip it with that mirror.
Oh, true, true.
Yeah, hopefully comes out and does it afterwards. Can't finish Tower of Hera because the big key is over on the other side of Death Mountain.
But that is another side that he can now get to. Meanwhile, xirtanul's hitting up the backside of Swamp. Gonna be a little disappointed up until he sees that crystal. And TruzzL just nabs the Swamp big key. So at this point, what are we really looking for to get our runners into go mode?
Desert Palace big key.
And I think that's it.
Yeah. You can argue silvers. I know some of our runners are able to handle Ganon without, but it makes it a lot harder. Looks like Zelga is going to make a T-Rock run. xirtanul gets to fight Argus with a sword that will actually do damage. Those are always appreciated.
And this is our first Turtle Rock dip. Oh, TruzzL is doing the purple chest. So that's getting his tempered sword. xirtanul might be going over to finish off Ice Palace now.
Could very well be. Could be hitting up the island. There was a small key there. We don't know what it was. It's the last pod key. As both he and TruzzL find out simultaneously.
Yeah, xirtanul going back in to finish off Cold Stare. He left earlier because he didn't have enough magic. And TruzzL looks like he's going to do Palace of Darkness.
Another Meyer key and T-Rock. We are only missing one T-Rock key, but our runners aren't necessarily going to need it. They will probably steal the Poke key.
Yeah, and skip that Vanilla Big Chest, or I'm sorry, Vanilla Big Key location. If they end up opening that door and checking that Vanilla Big Key location, they're going to have to possibly scour the world for that last TR small key.
Yep, I've seen runners do that on accident and take up a lot of time.
Yeah. So Mystakin, this is his last chance to check this spike cave. He's probably going to do Tower of Hera since he just got that big key. And when he comes out of here, he's going to have to do Spike Cave or he's going to be in a world of trouble.
We'll see what the mimics have in a moment. Zelga giving him the good old hammer time. Nothing of interest.
xirtanul taking on a cold stare here for the first time.
And there's the Desert Big Key in T-Rock.
So that's go mode for Zelga. He's missing swords, but he will happen to pick up that Master Sword whether he wants to or not after he does Cold Stare. It's interesting, though. He's probably not going to do Purple Chest. If he does not find Silvers or the 4th sword location, we could be in for a Master Sword Silverless Ganon. And while there wasn't a ton of trolliness other than the Hookshot and Spike Cave, I'd say that's significantly trolly.
Yeah, that is not a fight you want to do.
And Mystakin has bailed out on Death Mountain without checking Spike Cave.
Oh dear. Can't imagine there are very many locations left.
Yeah, still hasn't touched Pod, I don't think. And of course has the mirror to finish up Eastern.
Yeah, that's the unfortunate thing. Zelga and Mystakin, they're both 3-0 in this tournament, but even high-tier players, you forget one location, that's the one that you needed. Ruins your run for you.
If you like Hammer Boss strats, we got another one here on Trinex.
Yeah, but Zelga's making it happen, especially with that half magic. As xirtanul plays the national anthem and releases the duck.
Nicely done from Zelga. Hammer, Trinex.
Just get some arrows for the show. But that crystal is one step closer.
So yeah, that flute might actually lead xirtanul away from finding go mode items. So it may have been more of a curse than a blessing.
Well, looks like xirtanul is going to hit Pod right now. Going to wrap that up. Probably find the GT Big Key in the process. Got plenty of small keys, just has to go past the front door and everything's easy to open.
Yeah, if TruzzL had that 3rd TR small key, be pretty much in what would happen upon go mode, essentially. They would probably just try to complete TR and pick up that Desert Big Key, but without that small key... Oh, he does have one. Never mind. So TruzzL's in great shape. Doesn't look to be doing Turtle Rock right now, unfortunately. Number play just destroyed me. Thanks, number play. But at least I reminded you, right?
But in a little more seriousness, thank you to Numberplay and D2 Kemps who are handling the tracking for these runs. There's always a lot to try to keep an eye on. We appreciate their work very much.
Yeah, xirtanul actually like right behind TruzzL. So if they kept doing all the same things, he would be about a dungeon behind. But if TruzzL puts off doing Turtle Rock and xirtanul just jumps up there and does it, he should be able to regain this lead. Meanwhile, Mystakin gets further and further away from checking Spike Cave and getting his hook shot, which isn't actually too critical. It's just that he can't finish Swamp. It's not really locking him out of anything else. It's just really slowed down his routing and progression up to this point.
Yeah, but of course Swamp is required, so...
Well, that's another point that chat makes. TruzzL hasn't gotten the Ice Rod yet.
Ah, true.
Could have mirrored and finished it when he was at Pod, but elected not to. So that's another chance for xirtanul to make up some ground. Yeah, it's something to consider for people that are just kind of getting into this game. Even if it's a pendant dungeon, if it's easy access to more items and you're in the area, you might just want to bite the bullet and do it.
Yep, especially in Keysanity. It's less common in standard and open modes that pendant dungeons will have really important things. Still possible. But in Keysanity, the odds of that go up substantially. And Mystakin is about to get his Ice Rod. As xirtanul gets his GT Big Key.
Yeah, and the Ice Rod is going to say I should go to Turtle Rock. But again, no hookshot means no Turtle Rock Big Key from Hookshot Cave. So the Spike Cave is just killing him.
Yep. Although he should realize, with the flippers being in Paradox and the mirror being required to get there, and the mirror being in ice, he's still on a sequence break. He hasn't returned to logic.
And TruzzL is assuming Ice Rod is in TR, I believe, which is not a terrible idea generally, but unfortunately we know that is not the play in this seed. So TruzzL's going to be making 2 dips.
T-Rock, not a dungeon you want to double dip.
Yeah, I'd actually like this play a little bit more if he had all 4 keys, because if you get to Laser Bridge, what if Ice Rod is in Vanilla Big Key? I mean, that's a complete disaster for him. But
yep.
Ice Rod does like to hide in here, at least in standard and open. It probably holds true for Keysanity as well.
I've seen many cases where a vanilla small key likes to hide in T-Rock.
Yep.
So our runners might look at that and say, well, I only have 3, but it's T-Rock, so maybe.
Yeah, Mystakin is running out of locations to check. and is electing to go check that Thieves' Town big chest that he was unable to check earlier.
Yeah, unfortunately for him, Zelga is in go mode, or at least feels very close to it. Actually, Chad is correct. He is technically in go mode and isn't aware of it, because Cold Stare does have that second sword that he needs. So we'll get to see what Lamelas have. As xirtanul makes the run through Eastern, hopefully will complete that dungeon with the big key and all. So they will have the Ice Rod, and that's a better cue to head up to Turtle Rock.
And does xirtanul not have the Turtle Rock big key?
It was in Hookshot Cave, and he may not have bothered to go back for it yet.
Yeah, it's tough to remember.
Just some bombs on the landmos. Is Mystakin finally making the move to Spike Cave?
Yep.
Finally is.
Yeah, this is tough for Zelga. In open or standard, you usually have to search Ganon's Tower for the big key in the basement, so you can just kind of assume you're going to come across one there. But they have that, and they could just walk to the top. So it's worth it for him to check some overworld locations here. Otherwise, he might have to go in with Fire Sword and go into Ganon's Tower basement. So from his perspective, he's kind of caught in between a rock and a hard spot. But fortunately for him, he'll find a sword on Cold Stare and it won't be an issue.
Yeah, we'll just see if he decides if Master Sword is worth it or not. He still hasn't done the purple chest. That's the sword that he's missing.
Yeah,
So we'll see if he decides that's worthwhile too.
Oh, I'd be really surprised. It takes a really long time, and he's in go mode. I think it would be a better play to just check Ganon's Tower basement if he decided that Master Sword wasn't good enough.
Very true. Of course, if that last sword is in Mire.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Well, xirtanul is going to give us a little peek of Mire. A little surprising since he has all the ingredients for Turtle Rock except the big key. Presume that's what he's looking for right now.
Yeah, this is a really interesting race on bottom. It's really back and forth, and they're both kind of just missing a couple critical items. And I wouldn't say it's because of bad routing, it's just the routing choices they're making aren't the right ones.
Yeah, that's one curse of Randomizer in general. You kind of learn what locations usually don't pay off and are, way out of the way for the amount of time that you invest. So you tend to avoid them, like Spike Cave. And then it has the one thing you needed. It's not bad routing necessarily, but it really bites you.
xirtanul is making the useless play into Meyer, but there is, it's like you said, there could be a sword upgrade in here, which would be interesting to know. I guess silver arrows could also be in here.
Silvers could. And Zelga's gonna have to hammer his way to a better sword. I guess that's being a blacksmith.
Oh my goodness. Really cutting it close there.
Really cutting it close, indeed. Yes, Zelga has all the crystals. He's gonna be heading up to Ganon's tower and hoping he finds a better sword, or the silvers, or both.
Both would be good. Yeah, I don't... Is he gonna do Ganon's Tower Basement? Because if not, you're relying on those last few chests to pay off 4 opportunities for a sword upgrade or silver arrows, or you're gonna have one heck of a Ganon fight. Is that a small key to Turtle Rock in Meyer? That's our 4th Turtle Rock small key. So that's kind of a trolly location for it if TruzzL opens that vanilla big key chest in Turtle
we
Rock.
also had the red mail in Meyer.
Yeah, so that's interesting. TruzzL, if he goes into Turtle Rock, opens the door to get the vanilla big key, he unfortunately couldn't get the flute in the swamp big key chest. So he'd have to go into swamp for the flute and then go to Meyer to get the last Turtle Rock key.
And the last... Wait. The last pod key?
Yep. Yeah. I had to think about it for a second, but yes.
I really thought I had marked down all 6. Huh.
It was Ice Palace, Hobo, the Island, Hera Basement, and Vanilla.
Ah. Yeah, I had one marked in Eastern, but I must have mismarked that one. Oh well. These things happen. Good thing we're not the trackers. Or rather, good thing I'm not a tracker. And Zelga did find a 3rd sword.
Wait, what?
Yeah, Zelga has the Temper Sword. It was in Ganon's tower all along.
Did do the basement. interesting. And found it immediately, so that was super convenient.
Yep. Hey, finding that sword upgrade so conveniently in Ganon's Tower, that's a bit of a surprise to anybody. I'm sure Zelga was a bit surprised.
Yeah, it's not comfortable climbing Ganon's Tower knowing you're gonna have to do Master Sword Silverless.
That does mean that our other runners will have full-on Butter Sword when they make it to Ganon.
Xirtanul does check Hookshot Cave and gets that TR big key and has all 4 small keys. So Xirtanul is effectively in go mode here because he will find that Desert Palace big key on the way.
And Mystakin releasing the Quacken, but that might just be a red herring. I really wish herring was a kind of was a kind of bird, not a kind of fish, because that would have been a better pun. Instead, we got nothing. Red heron. Thank you, chat. That works much better.
Yeah, Zelga doing a very nice job here in Ganon's Tower. He's going very quickly. Oh, there I did it.
Still managed to have enough time to make it through, though. Zelga not even gonna bother hunting for silvers.
Nah.
He is gonna find Bombos.
So TruzzL's getting a little trolled here. He just needs to do Eastern. Eastern really isn't that bad of a play, because it's 3 items with that green pendant.
Yeah, and it's a pretty fast dungeon. I guess TruzzL instead gonna make a pedestal check. Real question on TruzzL's side, is he lost or just trolling himself?
So Zelga's on his way to Ganon.
Yep, gets picked up by the plot flute. Entering the final fight. Looking like he'll be a sub 2.
So this is interesting. TruzzL's going to get this Ice Rod here eventually. Has already done Desert Palace, so he'll be able to go up to Turtle Rock, complete the dungeon, and go right into Ganon's Tower. Whereas Xirtanul is going to be finishing Turtle Rock and then has to go down to Desert Palace and then come back up Death Mountain. So this might be a close race. And Cape Strats from Zelga make Ganon's phases 1 and 2 incredibly easy.
Getting all the way through phase 3 pretty smoothly. The arrows are in GT.
Wow. You should have kept searching. Ooh, almost gets knocked off there.
If only that sword wasn't so convenient.
May have found them on accident. Very nice silverless execution here.
Yep, this is very tricky to pull off.
Yeah, getting triples isn't easy.
But he gets it. And that gives Zelga the win with an official SRL time of 1 hour, 52 minutes, and 27 seconds.
GG. So TruzzL's got his Ice Rod, and xirtanul is about to kill Trinix. So TruzzL just has to kind of run to the end of Turtle Rock and then go right to Ganon's Tower, where xirtanul's got to go now to do Desert Palace and head back up Death Mountain. So I think this is going to be a really close race.
All right, we'll get Zelga in for a post-run interview in just a moment. And we have Zelga here with us. GG, Zelga.
GG's, thank you.
You had some sword troubles, it seemed, for most of this run.
You could not be more surprised than I am that I actually won this, given the way that I started this for about the first hour and a half. Everything went wrong as far as my actual fights, but I legitimately have no idea.
Fortunately, your routing went well. Mystakin held off on visiting Batman and Spike Cave until the very last moment. So that put him very far behind.
Oh, yeah, okay. That makes sense with the Moon Pearl and the hookshot being big things. Yeah, I can understand what happened there.
Yeah, what did you think when you came back to Cold Stare for the second time and he ended up giving you your second sword upgrade?
I was so salty, man. I can't describe how awful I feel playing this scene and how awful I felt with how I was doing. So, yeah, that was just a nice little touch on the top of the seed, is getting that sword whenever I just decided I was gonna face tank him the first time through.
Yeah, the seed was kind enough to give you a quick sorting of the basement of GT, though.
Yeah, that was really nice. I was gonna hop in. If I didn't get anything, I was gonna head over to the Stalfos room and check those, and then go upstairs. And it was just the very first chest got me tempered, and that was all I needed, I guess.
Yeah, good execution on the Silverless as well.
Thanks. At least something was executed decently well in the scene. I can't describe how terrible I feel with how Mothula and dying to the guard at Zelda's cell, and then Oh man.
Well,
I know I'm focusing on the negatives, but that's just, I was so salty this whole run about 3 minutes in after dying to that guard.
well, Mothula took a lot of blood in this match. I think 3 deaths to it across all the runners, so no need to feel too bad about that one. That was a brutal situation.
Yeah, it was fortunate for you. I don't think you ever went back and checked Zelgadissan. I don't think it was 300 rupees.
Oh, I went back. I found it.
Okay. Yeah, the seed was kind of holding off on items. It like gave you Dark World access immediately, and then seemed like it didn't give anything out for quite a while.
Yeah. Overall, I'm like you kind of said, I'm happy with some of the routing decisions I made, like heading to ice immediately after I getting mitts, and that got me the mirror. But just looking back, I'm gonna be cringing the whole time I watch this one back.
So TruzzL right now taking down Trinex. xirtanul cleaned up Desert Palace and is climbing Death Mountain. So this race is going to be a dead heat, I think. In fact, okay, so xirtanul's got a little bit of an advantage here. I didn't realize how far up Death Mountain he was.
Yeah, but it's maybe 30 seconds, minute at that.
Yeah.
I gotta ask, since I'm popping into the stream, where's this sword I missed?
Purple chest.
Ah, yeah, that would do it. Yeah, that was actually a tough call. Like, I purposely put them off because at first when I got the mirror, my first thought was I need to try and make an advantage out of this after all the deaths I took. So I was going to focus on mirror spots. But then I realized that with all the stuff that it was giving me, like pod keys, and then heading up to East Death Mountain, getting like the big key for pod, like, well, I can full clear that. I should probably do that instead of the mirror stuff. And I know it got me Ganon's Tower big key. I can't remember what else, but it was definitely a worthwhile trip.
Yeah, it was interesting. Did you kind of want to go into pod, but because it seemed like the Palace of Darkness keys were just nowhere to be found in the early game, and that kind of just gave them to you fairly quickly after that.
Yeah, that was actually really interesting. I was considering, when I went into Sahasrara and Eastern Palace the first time, I was considering going into pod with 0 keys because I at least had the bow, so that'd get me 3 spots. But I don't think anything... Well, actually, there was a vanilla key that would have got me, but that's about it. So I guess it was definitely on my mind that was an option that I needed to make, but I ended up doing, I think it was Spike Cave right before that, and that got me the hook shot that kind of led me in different directions.
Yeah, that Spike Cave was absolutely crucial. And thinking back at the logic, it actually gave you access to that relatively quickly, especially if you could do the sequence break up to Death Mountain, because gloves were early, and it gave out Cape and Burna relatively early as well.
Yeah, that makes sense. It was one of those things where I actually did a save and quit right as I was in Spectacle Rock. And
yeah,
as I was
saw
doing
that.
it, I was like, wait a second, Spike Cave is in the logic right here. So I ended up just going right back up for it.
Yeah, TruzzL had already checked that location, and we saw you leave, and we're like, oh no. And basically that's exactly what Mystakin and xirtanul both did. They bailed on Death Mountain and didn't check that location, but fortunately you went back up.
I'll be honest, the only reason that I actually did that was, well, I didn't have too many spots left in the first place. But also in my last race, Spike Cave had Kena Samaria. And it was still in my mind, it's like, history's got to repeat itself. If I don't do this, there's going to be something.
So I think TruzzL has gained ground on xirtanul here, going up the gauntlet.
Yep, still, I would say about a minute, just under, in separating the two.
I think it's down to 30 seconds. Let's see. xirtanul entered this torch room at 33 seconds after the hour. Oh yeah, it's really significantly changed. It's
Ooh,
less than
yeah,
20 seconds now.
17. This is the kind of ending you really hope for. This is pure execution at this point.
Yeah, it's gonna come down to the last 3 bosses: Moldy 2 and Aga 2 and Ganon. Just an update on Mystakin. I think he just got his TR big key and is pretty much on his way to completing this. We'll do TR, get the DP big key, and be in go mode.
Yeah, that was actually another thing with my route that I felt so bad whenever I got into Turtle Rock and realized that I was essentially in go mode minus a sword. With all my deaths, I figured, you know, somebody in this 4, if not mistaken, then somebody else is probably already in this full-on go mode right now, and because of all my early deaths.
Ooh.
So,
TruzzL gets trolled.
So the gap is going to widen a little bit.
That right there might have cleaned it up for xirtanul. Moldorm, stop it. This is going to be all about the Aga and Silverless execution at this point.
Yeah, they both have similar equipment, although since xirtanul did Mire, he's got a little bit more defense. TruzzL might gain some ground here if he can get some better Aga. It's 3 so far. Oh, these Aga patterns are a little tough. Just one more. Should be easy on this one.
There we go. He's going to make his way into the Ganon fight. xirtanul already rolling onto phase 2.
It's a very nice position for him to do spins. It's going to clean up phase 2 really quickly. Red Mail helping him out a little bit, taking some fire bat hits.
Looks like xirtanul gets the torch glitch. This should help.
TruzzL also taking advantage of that spot. Oh, misses one on xirtanul.
TruzzL already to phase 3. Very close to phase 4.
Hits him a little off-timed. And misses the torch glitch. xirtanul's just got to clean this up without falling, and should be his win. And that's it.
Yep, a very close finale on our bottom race. xirtanul gets through, claims an official SRL time of 2 hours, 5 minutes, and 42 seconds. TruzzL going to be coming up pretty close behind. Those lamps are
Oh, he
being a bit
walked
trolly.
right into the fire. He's 1 hit away.
Ooh, he does have a fairy, though, it looks like.
Yeah, the angles he's taking are just a little inconvenient. He's getting kind of chased away from those timings that he'd like to take. Yeah, not getting the torch glitch is kind of limiting him as well. Yep. Does have that fairy though. I think he's only 1 or 2 shots away here. And
Well,
TruzzL cleans it up.
And TruzzL cleans it up. We will get both of them, actually xirtanul and TruzzL, in for interviews in just a moment. Once we get the official SRL time for TruzzL. And that will be 2 hours, 7 minutes, and 44 seconds. A difference of 2 minutes and 2 seconds between our runners.
Mystakin cleans up Trinex and just has Desert to complete.
All right, xirtanul will be a moment, but for right now we have TruzzL here. So TruzzL, GG. Nice tight finish.
Yeah, I don't know. The beginning was really bad. I felt like I kind of pulled it together a bit when I went into Ice Palace, and then I felt like I was catching up the rest of the seed.
Yeah, the only really misstep, I think, was not going into Eastern after doing Pod, which is the most convenient time to do it.
Yeah.
But other than that, you were the first one to get hook shot. So that.
Yeah, I
that
couldn't
helped you
do
out
it
a
when I
lot.
found that.
Yeah, two of the other 3 just completely forgot about that location and didn't get it until later. So that was a really nice play on your part.
Yeah, one of those 2 being xirtanul, who did end up winning the race, although it was a very close one. xirtanul, GG, congratulations.
Yes, thank you very much.
So yeah, that hook shot, huh?
Yeah, well, I had it narrowed down to either Pod or, well, the thingy, the spike cave. Because I sequence broke to the mirror and I got I have no idea what I got. I think the myths or something. So I knew that the hookshot had to be somewhere around there.
Yeah, the mitts were waterfall, so I think you fake flippered for that.
Oh yeah, flippers were on the Death Mountain.
Yep. Yeah, that was an interesting item layout, mostly for just having those key items in kind of unusual and obnoxious locations. Those one-offs.
But that flute just completely jibaited me though.
Yeah. At first, because TruzzL went in without the Swamp Big Key, and then when you grabbed that flute out of the big chest, we were concerned that might decide the race right there. But the flute was more of a bait than it was a good item that opened up more locations.
Yeah, indeed. And I think in the end I was extremely happy to see Ganon say, well, did you find the silvers in my tower? At that point I just knew that nobody found the silvers.
And indeed, that was the case, although Zelga did end up dipping into Ganon's basement for a little bit just to find that third sword, because he never turned in the purple chest.
Ooh, that is rough.
Yeah, Zelga beat like 6 or 7 bosses with Fighter Sword, I believe.
Yeah, Cold Stare was my last boss before Ganon's Tower, so everything before that was Fighter Sword or no sword.
Yeah, I was feeling quite good when I killed Blind and Moth with like really little gear, but the deaths in there were just, well, not like, well, at least they made me a bit anxious.
Yeah, there were a lot of boss deaths, though.
Did you leave? I just refreshed my memory. Did you leave Ice Palace because you ran out of magic?
Yeah, I couldn't kill Cold Stare at that point because I knew I could get like 5 small magic pots, so I needed 8 in total. So I couldn't kill Cold Stare even if I wanted to. And well, of course, one item in Ice Palace led to half magic, so that was kind of trolly.
Yeah, it was really interesting. If you, xirtanul and TruzzL, if you guys watch this back, it was really hard to tell who was in the lead for a lot of this because TruzzL got that early hook shot. But xirtanul was kind of catching up, but you guys were taking completely different routes, so it was hard to tell. And even when you guys were finishing up Desert and Turtle Rock there at the very end, it was an incredibly close race.
We'll definitely have to watch the vault then.
Yeah, it should be good. So flute was Swamp Big Chest?
Yep.
I was spending like my whole time hoping I didn't find flute.
Well, in hindsight, I wish I didn't find the flute.
Well, as soon as I figured out it was a pendant, I was like,
Yeah, and I believe Meyer only offered up the last Turtle Rock small key and the red mail.
Yeah.
did anyone go for the lumberjack key?
Nope. It shall remain a mystery. But it was probably the Hera small key, let's be honest.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, I think I like one Meyer small key, one Ice Palace key, I think, and the Hera basement key, so it has to be one of the 3.
Yeah, I had the Meyer and Ice Palace, so that it would have had to have been Hera. But I seriously did consider it because I felt that behind, that I almost just gambled the race on Aga's going to be required.
Yeah, looks like we're missing 2 GT small keys as well.
I found one of them vanilla, so I think that would have been up to 3 there.
Mm.
Like, there's one somewhere that was, I think it's, wait. I didn't find it. I was watching the stream and someone did. I think maybe TruzzL did upstairs.
Yeah, it was one upstairs, actually. I think in the Helpless room. Top right chest.
I don't really remember what I got.
Chad is saying it was in the Helmet Store room there was a GT key. So yeah, there's only one of those left, I suppose. Still, wasn't necessary, so no Aga 1 fights. And good boss fights all around, considering the really rough equipment that people were working with.
Yeah, it's
Forever
interesting.
to get a sword.
Yeah, and it's interesting when you guys get Dark World access that quickly, but you have no equipment to deal with Dark World.
I don't think I've ever been happier with finding a Master Sword, to be honest.
So we have Mystakin doing the final Moldorm fight. Two-shotting. Here we're gonna get our last Aga fight.
Swagnet strats.
By the way, just out of curiosity, did anyone else find the mushroom on the show?
There were no mushrooms, no shovels.
This is weird, Keysanity see.
Well, Mystakin is whipping out the net, giving us a little demonstration of another way to fight Aga, if you are so desperate. It's actually a good skill to develop if you're going to do swordless runs of Randomizer. And we get our one last silverless Ganon fight. While we watch this, any of the runners, would you care to describe to our audience how you actually do this fight silverless?
Sure. So typically what you want to do is, well, the torch glitch is a nice thing, but that's not really the overall thing. He's only going to take damage when you've got both torches lit, but the way you want to do it is set up an attack that's going to hit Ganon as he starts his teleport. I think it's 3 frames that he's technically vulnerable, but with spins, it's got an active enough hitbox that you can usually just set up a spin as he's going to teleport, and you're going to try and hit him with that. It's going to take either 12 spins with the tempered sword like Mystakin's got, or the gold sword, and 24 spins if you have the master. And obviously fighter sword just won't work.
You were pretty close to having to do that master sword.
Yeah, I was not looking. The whole reason I went to the basement is I was master sword silverless was worth the minute and a half to check it.
Yeah, with the amount of time that adds, it's almost worth it just clear out all of the GT basement.
Yeah, I was gonna give up after checking the right first 2 and then the 4 Skelebros, but I mean, I got lucky. It was in the very first chest I checked on the right.
Very clean
And
fight
there
for
we go.
Mystakin.
Burning down the house. Possibly in frustration, possibly in jubilation that the run is finally over. And that will give a Mystakin an official SRL time of 2 hours, 21 minutes, and 11 seconds. So we'll bring him in for our last bit of chat in just a moment. And we have Mystakin with us. Mystakin, how are you feeling on that one?
I forgot I had everything muted. Hello?
Hey, we hear you.
Oh, okay, good.
Yeah, we got you. So, yeah, how are you, how do you feel after that one?
Well, my screen says winner, so I'm pretty sure I won my race. And I'm pretty excited about that. I think every gamble I took was wrong, I think. Man.
Yeah, Spike Cave just kind of destroyed you.
Spike can't even. I need to go back and look the first time I was in Death Mountain. I should have gone to Spike Cave when I went to do Dark World Death Mountain. Because I was already there.
Yeah,
and I
you
would have
could've-
had it. And I would have gotten Turtle Rock Big Key as well at the same time.
I think you walked past Spike Cave 3 or 4 times. But
Well, I definitely walked past it a few times. But considering how ill-equipped we were for most of that run of the early game, I don't know when I would have had... Because I didn't even have a bottle for a long time. So
yeah,
I
we
wouldn't even-
were unsure about what the logic says, but TruzzL and Zelga, the first time they went up to do Old Man and to check Spectacle Rock, went in then, and because the cape and Burno were already handed out, and the hammer, of course, it was available.
Yeah, I'd have to go back and look. I didn't even think about it because I was thinking about 100% logic, which screwed me this time. Because 100% logic is you just tank it, and then if you die, you have a fairy. I didn't even think about, because at that point in the 100% run, you don't have either of those, so I didn't even think about it. But yeah, that messed me up. It took me forever to think about Bat.
Yeah, that too. I couldn't remember. Someone went to Bat and then quickly had to turn around because they didn't have magic. I don't remember who that was, though. I was hoping it wasn't you because that would have been really depressing.
I think I did that one.
Okay, it was TruzzL.
A lot of my early game was bad. I just died a bunch. Died to Blind. Died to Moldorm Cave.
Yeah.
That Moldorm Cave, man. 9 bombs. And I didn't kill them all. Just lost all my bombs.
There were a lot of early deaths on all 4 screens, if I remember correctly.
Yep, and you weren't even the only one to forget to do Spike Cave.
Yeah.
There were a few returns to the mountain.
Yeah, we saw a lot of Death Mountain climbs this seed.
Oh yeah, I tried to do the Death Mountain climb in the dark, which was a bad idea. So I'd never done it before, and I was like, I'm out of ideas. Let's just try it. Nope, this is a bad idea. Back out. I started to do Eastern without the big key. That was a bad idea.
Yeah, Eastern was a bust, I think, except for, of course, the big payoff at the end.
Right. Which I was like, cool, this is the only chance I have to make up all these mistakes I'm making. Yeah, that was just a brutal seed. Just all of my ideas were not paying off.
Well, that does mean that Mystakin and xirtanul are now both at 3-1 in this tournament. Zelga is now 4-0. TruzzL is down to 2-2. So Zelga has a pretty good chance of making it to our finals. Mystakin and xirtanul still in it, but it's going to be a tough final match.
Well, I know if I play the same way I played on this seed, I'm not going to be winning my next match. So I've got a lot of practice I need to do on my execution, apparently.
Yeah, there's some monsters that are going to be in that 4-0 group, and even in the 3-1 group, there's a lot of disgusting players.
Yeah, I had so many early deaths that I imagine the way it sounds like everybody had a bunch of early deaths and everyone was probably feeling about the same way I was. Just how could I possibly make this up?
Yeah, I can't imagine anyone felt ahead really in this seed, but that's generally how these slow seeds are.
Yeah, well, we will be having another 3-0 race, so we will get to see one of those maybe disgusting players who gets a 4-0 into the final week. That will be at 10 o'clock on this channel. We'll be seeing Cross Product go against Troopster, while Walther 4, or Walther IV, goes against Ridley Dragon. And we'll have Jet 082 and Slim Kirby handling the commentary. We also have, having just started on Speed Gaming 2, we have another double bill, Willard J. Bradley and Oyster SA, with Keong 92 and Genja 23. And of course, there'll be more matches on Thursday, Friday, all throughout this weekend and next week across all the Speed Gaming channels. So again, to Zelga, Mystakin, xirtanul, TruzzL, GG's, good work. Congratulations to Zelga and xirtanul for the wins. And to D2 Kemps and Number Play for tracking, many thanks. And to Gloin for helping with the commentary.
Yep, thanks, Upton.
And so until next time, thank you all for watching and take care.
Good night, everyone.